So I'm happy one more time. I am with the Friends of the Ahlul Bayt Islamic Association, Society of New England, and ZEC, Mighty Shia Muslim Association. As was mentioned by Dr. Musallai, this is the second lecture of the lecture series on Hazrat Maryam in the Quran. This today we were focusing on the verses from Surah Al Imran, third surah of the Quran, which is regarding the birth of Hazrat Maryam. The previous lecture we discussed about Hazrat Zachariah and Hazrat Yahya. We will have some discussion left about Hazrat Yahya, so we will discuss that briefly. But the main idea, main theme of the discussion will be the birth of Hazrat Maryam, which is the kind of critical to framing on the whole lecture series. So as usual for the blessing and then also because this verse is important verse, I start with verse 11 and 12 of Surah 666 Al-Tahrim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون إذ قالت رب ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني من القوم الظالمين ومريم ابنة عمران التي أحسنت فرجها فنفخنا فيه من روحنا صدقت بكلمات ربها وكتبه وكانت من القانتين. God cites an example of the faithful, the wife of Pharaoh, when she said, "My Lord, build me a home near you in the paradise and deliver me from Pharaoh and his conduct and deliver me from the wrongdoing lot." And Mary, daughter of Imran, who guarded the chastity of her womb. And so we breathed into it of our spirit. She confirmed the words of her Lord and his books, and she was one of the obedient. As we discussed, the verses regarding Hazrat Maryam are distributed in these surahs. And then these surahs are sorted here chronologically, the order of revelation. And we have some lecture series before about the chronology of the revelation of Quranic surahs. This is usually based on the first verse of that surah revealed. The first verse is revealed earlier, considered earlier, and then we see Surah Al-Maryam is the first, which is, and then Surah Al-Mu'minun and Anbiya, which have only about one ayah about Hazrat Maryam, and the Surah Al-Ali Imran, which is the one we discussed today, is Medina. And then we have Surah Al-Tahrim, which I read the verses also Medina, and then there are Surah Al-Nisa and Ma'idah. So this chronology is based on different ways, but all agree together. Shia and Sunni mostly based on hadiths narrated from Ibn Abbas, and maybe that also from Ibn Abbas heard it from Ali, or so on, which is more or less also matches the methodology of the Western scholarship, like Nordic chronology. Last lecture, we discussed mostly the verses 1 to 15, which was about Hazrat Zachariah and Yahya, not necessarily Hazrat Maryam, but the story of Hazrat Maryam everywhere in the Quran is, when Hazrat Maryam is mentioned with Hazrat Zachariah too. So we also discussed the verses in Surah Al Imran about Hazrat Zachariah and the birth of Hazrat Yahya. Today we focus mostly here, and maybe I don't think we would have time. Those are individual verses. So because we have to do some discussion from verses from 12 to 15 to, so I think mostly we'll focus on this one, which is the main idea. And as I said, it's important that the story of Hazrat Maryam is intertwined with her guardian, Hazrat Zachariah. And everywhere the story is mentioned, usually both are mentioned. So I'm not going to go through that again. So there were a few verses. I think I start from reading the verses which we want to discuss. First, regarding Hazrat Yahya, we have the verses 12, 13, 14, 15, and Surah 19, which it says, I read the translation, O John, or actually, O Yahya, hold on with power to the book, and we gave him judgment while still a child, and a compassion and purity from us. He was God-weary and good to his parents, and was not self-willed to disobedient. Peace be to him the day he was born, and the day he dies, and the day he is raised alive. As we discuss this hadith, Imam Reza discusses that these three stages of life are the more important stages of everybody's life, and then God has said blessing um, to Hazrat Yahya and Hazrat Isa in these three stages. I can read it maybe. Three situations are the most desolate for human creation: the day they are born, coming out of their mother's womb, and seeing the world; the day they die, and seeing the hereafter, and the occupants of the hereafter; and the day they are raised, and seeing the laws that now govern, which they did not see in the world. So they can see the ghaib now. So God sent a greeting of peace to John in these three places and put his heart at rest by saying, and peace on him on the day he was born, on the day he dies, on the day he is raised to life. Jesus, son of Mary, sent a greeting of peace on himself in these three places. And then the difference between Jesus and John and Hazrat Yahya is Hazrat Yahya, the blessings are sent by God, is God is said he's blessed in those days. Regarding Jesus, he is giving the blessing to himself when he's a child, when he's just infant, nearly born. Now, we are going to focus today, the verses we want to focus are the verses from Surah Al Imran. So I read them too. So, and then it starts from verse 33 that it says, indeed, God chose Adam and Noah and the progeny of Abraham and the progeny of Imran above all the nations. So few families are mentioned, the descendants or the family of Adam, Noah, and Abraham and Ibrahim, and also Ali Imran. Some of them are descendants of the others, and God is all hearing, all knowing. And then the God which is all hearing and all knowing tell us a story of the mother of the Hazrat Maryam. When the wife of Imran said, so that above said mentioned Imran, when the wife of Imran said, my Lord, I dedicated to you in consecration what is in my belly or in my womb, accept it from me. Indeed, you are the all-hearing, the all-knowing. When she bore her, she said, my Lord, I have born a female child, and God knew better what she had born, and the male child which she expected was no match for the female child which she had born. And I have named her Mary. I commend her and her offspring to your care against the evil of the outcast Satan. Thereupon her Lord accepted her with a gracious acceptance and made her grow up in a worthy fashion, and he charged Zachariah with her care. Whenever Zachariah visited her in the sanctuary, he would find provisions with her. He said, O Mary, from where does this come for you? She said, it comes from God. God provides whomever he wishes without any reckoning. Uh, Thereat Zachariah supplicated his Lord. He said, my Lord, grant me a good offspring from you. Indeed, you hear all supplications. Now, these other parts regarding Zachariah we read last lecture and we discussed it. So I'm not going through that. The continuation verses, maybe if we reach today to discuss it, I will cover it, read it again. But because we are going to have one lecture only for the verse 42, I prefer to stop here and discuss some things. Now, we have a discussion about these verses 12, 13, 14, and 15. We discussed about the naming of the kind of Hazrat Yahya was unique. But we said Quran mentioned he was Hannanan min ladunna, and a compassion and purity from us. And then we said this part Hannanan have the same cognates with the actual his Hebrew or Aramic name, which was actually those names are really related to John, not Yahya. So John or Johanin or Yohanna, Yohanan, or have this root Hanan in it, and that Hanan means compassion. So, but Yahya is from Hay, to be alive or to be have Haya in you, modesty, and so is a different root. So we discussed those all last lecture. What I kind of maybe want to discuss is what is the story of the John the Baptist in New Testament, and it's kind of prophecy, and also his martyrdom. although that's New Testament has, so we are looking at intertextuality one sense. It has some Christian theology surrounding it, but that's, I think, I want to bring and adding it to this part. So because the other parts I think are clear. He was good to his parents. He wasn't arrogant or rebellious. And we discussed about these three salams which is sent to him by God. Salamun alayhi yawma walada yawma yamutu yawma yab'asu hayya. So, okay, this have in mind, but I will discuss this. But before that, I want to mention this issue of Al Imran, because you know the Surah 3 of Quran is called family of Imran. So who is Al Imran? And then we saw today this Al Imran has come in 3 verses in Quran. One is the verse 33, which God says, "Inna Allah astafa Adam and Nuhan wa Al Ibrahim wa Al Imran al alamin." So this is a family which is important and on par with a family of Ibrahim or Abraham and Noah and Adam, and all these are raised and chosen and purified. So this is really a blessed family. And then we had actually in the verse 66, which I started with it, and I can show you all one slide later on too. Maryam is called Bint Imran. So this is the second part of the story, that Maryam is referred to as daughter of Imran. So we have to assume she is part of this Al Imran, which is chosen by God and blessed. So this is the verse 12 of Surah 66. And then we have, going back to where we were, we have this time is قالت امرأة Imran. So now we have the wife of Imran, says verse 35. So we see verse 33 refers to the family of Imran. Verse 12 of chapter 66 refers as Hazrat Maryam, a daughter of Imran, and the verse 35 of chapter 3 refers of the wife of Imran. So we have some idea of family of Imran. We have an idea of daughter of Imran and the wife of Imran, and then we can assume that Hazrat Masih, Jesus, the son of Mary, will be part of this family. But was this family bigger? And then how it is also related to maybe Hazrat Yahya or Zachariah. Was Hazrat Yahya and Zachariah part of this Al Imran? Or even this Imran could be something earlier. So, you know, another Imran maybe living much long earlier, and this second Imran was probably descendant of him. And the reason I'm saying this confusion has happened, look, I will read here, this is from Study Quran, I will explain it, and this topic also will be important when we're discussing the relatively controversial issue of Ukht Harun, when Quran in verse 38, I think Surah Al-Maryam refers to Hazrat Maryam as the sister of Aaron. Imran is the name of Mary's father, also in verse 35 and 66:12, who is not named in the Bible. Imran is not mentioned in the Bible. We will discuss in extra biblical literature, the father of, this is what we will discuss, father of Hazrat Maryam is called Joachim. So for now, Joachim is different from Imran, which means he whom Yahweh set up. He whom Yahweh set up. Although there is another name that also I have to, okay. There is also another names mentioned for the father of Hazrat Maryam in extra biblical sources. Maybe we come to that next lecture or this lecture, but the problem is this, the problem maybe self-made problem or by the Western scholars or Sunni commentators or Shia commentators is this. The father of Moses in Bible is called Amram, A-M-R-A-M. This apparently in pronunciation is close to Imran. So from very early times, people considered Imran is Amram, that they thought this M is changed to N, which sometimes happens. But look, they're different. I mean, it's not that straight. So the commentators, this is the thing. Those who do that, now they think Al Imran refers to family of Moses. And Aaron, and then, or maybe then the solution will be you have two Imrans. One Imran, the father of Moses, Aaron, and Maryam, the sister of Moses, Aaron. And then we have one Imran, which is the father of Mary and then the husband of the mother of Hazrat Maryam, or one says grandfather of Jesus. And so we have two Imran. And there is a possibility but although that's also needs a discussion, that this Imran is a descendant of Amram. That will be a discussion we will later see. But this is also because the biblical ones say, okay, we don't have any the biblical Christian polemicists say we don't have any Imran in Bible, and then Quran mixed Amram with Imran. So they want to get the upper hand. And that's was kind of the source of that confusion. So let me read it, and then I want you to have this issue in mind, even this lecture and this lecture. So the commentators, this is Muslim commentators, who equate the name Imran with the Hebrew Amram, the name of Moses' father, thus believe that both the father of Moses and the father of Mary were separately named Imran. But these guys, it seems, do not be aware of the name Joachim. And then the question is, so in extra biblical sources, which we will see, they call it Joachim. Quran call it Imran. And then these guys assume that Amram in the Bible is Imran. So now is a little bit, I mean, in one sense could happen, but then the main question we will see, and I'm going to show you, whether is any connection between Joachim and Imran. But as be careful, I think we should be careful about this part. The Quran and Hadith do not names Moses' father. And it is unclear how the equation between Imran and Amram come to be. So this mistake, which is very common and is very spread out, that they assume Amram in Hebrew, the name of the father of Moses, is the same as Imran, which the Quran is mentioned. Although, as I said, some commentators, as early Muqatil ibn Sulaiman, seems to accept it. But this Muqatil was very much fond of. I'm not sure he was Christian before. I think he was. He was much fond of this biblical literature, and through him, many of these have come to Islamic, commentary, and some of it is really Israeliyat. And they make it an explicit with distinction between two, including centuries between them. But the point is that they have not confused them. They have not confused them, but they assume there are two Imrans. One Imran, father of Moses, one Imran, father of Hazrat Maryam. Now, there is one point which is good to have in mind, and then today we will discuss it. I will refer to it. Imran, the name of the father of Hazrat Maryam, the one is like we Farsi call it Umran, is coming from root among those whose meaning is to erect, to build, or to set up. So like the civil engineering is called Muhandisi Umran. Muhandis means engineering, and Umran is for the civil. So this has a root, Imran, related to some person who builds or constructs, who makes setups, something like that. So having this in mind will be helpful to solve maybe one of the other problems. You see, the name is close to the word Umran, which means a building, edifice, or structure, and the on ending is a common in Arabic as the name Osman, and many other words such Ghadban, Subhan, Sakran, Herman, Hasran, Furqan. So that on was added to some of the roots, and it was a structure which is somehow is not very clear how it was, but it was common. It was Furqan, from Faraga, and then the one who separates Hasran, Herman. One could speculate that Imran, Allah, is equivalent to Joachim. Now, how it is this going to be produced is because Joachim here literally means he whom Yahweh set up. That's one way to do it. He whom Yahweh set up. If we see in Imran a sense of building something or setting something, maybe we can say somehow that Joachim has become Imran. That's one line is picked up. Another line I will explain maybe what will be. So I kind of summarize it here in one of my tweets. This discussion will come here later on too, but make it clear, I summarize maybe everything I said in one thing. Look, in Qur'an, we have Imran. We don't have any Amram. And then when Imran is mentioned, 2 times is clearly related to Hazrat Maryam. It's about his father and talking about his, so it mentions Maryam, the daughter of Imran, and the mother of Hazrat Maryam as wife of Imran. And so it is, we don't see anywhere in Quran to even mention the father of Moses, or referring to father of Moses, let alone assuming that Imran, which is here, is definitely Amram. But what is clear is that the father of Mary, the biblical, extra biblical Joachim, is called Imran. So maybe the real question is that how Joachim and Imran are related together. There is I bring it maybe that one next lecture. So this is the question maybe we want to add to it. If we assume Joachim is also, or Joachim is the correct name that these biblical sources have. So I have this here because the mixture of Amram with Imran has produced some problems. And that we will see it one more time later on. But for now, we have to mention that Quran doesn't mention the name of the father of Moses. And then we are not really certain that really Amram is Imran, or when Quran says Ali Imran referring to Amran. Most probably this Imran is just referred to Hazrat Maryam, or maybe his Hazrat Jesus. But there is a possibility some other people is included here. The family of Imran, we have to see whether Jesus have half-brothers or so on. That maybe we see it another lecture. But the point I'm saying that some people have pushed this line. For example, again, this is a Talmudic one, again, referring to a father of Moses, Aaron, and Miriam as Amram. And again, some people assume this Amram is Imran. But who this Amram is also is just to know what is this father of Moses is a little bit complicated. I mean, if you look, the summary is this: he's descended from this Levi, which is one of the sons of Jacob. The importance of this is this, that Levites are the one who can do priestly duties. So father of Moses was from the Levite tribe. And then in one kind of strange thing, he married, if we accept the Bible, married his aunt, which is, again, Islam is forbidden. But so his father's sister, and then the children's. You see, the Bible everywhere has these problems, and the matching is not necessarily good. But then,
Dr. Ghoddoussi, sorry to interrupt. This information, this slide you're talking about, is that borrowed from the Bible story or from? I mean,
Bible.
Okay. And then they believe in that, and there is no doubt or anything on that one, right?
Yeah. That's why I was hesitant to even mention it. Yeah, but then I searched it. So you see, this verse, Exodus 6 says, these were the clans of Levi. Levi is one of the son of Jacob. So these are the 12 tribes of Israelite. And then then said Amram married his father's sister Jochebed. But you know, maybe some people, again, this similarity of this name and Joachim was also maybe pushed them to that line, but this is feminine name. Who bore him Aaron and Moses. And Amram lived 137 years. And then this is a summary. I kind of searched it summary, that this is the lineage, this is the children. It seems because you see, they were at Egypt and they were a slave. So the father of Moses married the you know, this story is very problematic. You know, you're right, because the mother of Moses is very pious female in Quranic image, and she's receiving why? You know, when she's worried for her child Moses, she's the one God kind of toward her. So I don't know. This kind of marriage doesn't look very. I don't know. Maybe Sharia law was different at that time. But my opinion is that yeah, the Bible here is really not very pleasant or maybe distorted. Yeah.
And then I mean, we are from the Quran side approaching the Bible side.
Yeah.
And my question is, if the Bible side also try to approach the Quran side, see if they can make a consistency or inconsistency.
No. Yeah. Okay, you continue. That's a good question.
No, that's all. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, rarely it's done. There are a few that are doing it because some ask, but there are very few. And usually these are the guys which were doing the reverse direction, but gradually notice it. Look, unfortunately, the attitude was that Quran is after, so cannot have any, some arrogance is, and it's like, my religion is older, so you may need mine, but I don't need yours. I mean, to be fair, if we, there are very few. Honestly, there are maybe, but it's getting more, but there are few. I mean, some of them notice, and okay, let me say it this way. Historically, after the appearance of Islam, yes, it was done because many Talmudic ones or the commentaries they have or Mishnah, you see, they notice the Quran and they notice the problems and they want to fix it. So for example, I said it once, the story of Abraham, which angels come to Abraham to punish the people of Lot. The angels come to the house of Abraham and then also promising Abraham wife Sarah, Isaac. Abraham bring them food and they don't eat. That's very strange because these are travelers, long distances, they're living in tents. You don't get food. When they invite you, give you food, always you eat it. If you don't eat food, is a sign of really hostile intention. And Abraham gets a little bit worried, and then they tell him we are angels, so we don't eat food. But in biblical ones, they eat all the food, and then the commentators notice this is problematic. If they're non-material, non-human, how can they eat food? So then they said, oh, appear to Abraham, they ate food. But they didn't eat food. So they want to fix it like that. So in this case, you say whether harmonization happens or not. I mean, no, but I'm not saying it's getting more and maybe some ordinary people. And usually the harmonization happens, people sometimes convert. You know, the point I was going to say, this Amram and Imran, which because of some Sunni commentaries or people, Mu'atal ibn Sulaiman, Wahab ibn Munabbih came to Islamic culture, is accepted that Amram is Imran, and then Ali Imran is Ali Amram. But I really not sure that is this. We are going to see the story of Joachim, the father of Mary. That person deserved to be blessed. But his name is Joachim, so we have to see why the two names are different or not. There is one other text, unfortunately, I forgot. Just I recently found it from Syriac sources. Maybe next lecture I bring it. But I have that because this discussion will come us when we go to the Ukhta Harun issue. But I decided to summarize what is in Bible, and I'm saying this Amram guy is not that. Maybe Bible is distorted, or maybe this is the reason Quran doesn't mention him. You know, one of the features of the Quran in difference with Bible is in the birth of Moses, in this Amram, the father of Moses, a big role. Is much of the story is from his perspective. But in Quran is not mentioned at all. It's only his mother and sister have a role. And then you see, and then a positive role, and the wife of Pharaoh is a positive role. So as I said before, that if somebody doesn't have very positive role, Quran doesn't mention them somehow. Uh, okay, but then if you go to continuing this, he married his wife when the Egyptian slavery. This marriage type, aunt nephew, was later forbidden in Jewish law. Maybe that's the case. So at least Jews also forbidding it, but Islam is also forbidden. Live 100, but you know,
and then, sorry, before you move on, I mean, you just talked about Dr. Harun. That was also a topic of lots of question the other day, but maybe you get back to that later on. But
yeah, that's exactly. I'm putting this groundwork. Some of it I say now that I'm going to come back to it because that confusion here is the source of the confusion over there, at least the starting point of it.
Okay.
And then we have to say it more. Maybe I could have left all there, but I thought because we do all Imran, at least mentioning this too.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
no. These are very good questions and help me also be more dynamic. So leave long time and then yeah. So I think this is his feature. So I'm not going to go more about Amram, but having this Amram Imran issue in back of our mind is good. You know, I myself for a long time I was thinking this Ali Imran here covers both family of Moses and family of Jesus. So in that sense, Imran was referring to father of Moses. And in this family, later on, another Imran came, which was father of Mary. This can still be true, but that we have to discuss the lineage of Mary. The typical understanding is this. Mary is not, the typical understanding is that Mary is not from this lineage. Is from the lineage of Judah, not Levi, the other son of Jacob, which make it not very working with the biblical. But if you we have those lectures in Farsi, which Mary in Bible, so on, we notice no, Mary has double lineage. Mary also, and the clearly Bible even said about Elizabeth, which I maybe discuss it next lecture, her aunt, and regarding Zachariah, we saw it last lecture. They are all descendant of Aaron. So there is a possibility, like you have two names of Muhammad or two Ali in the lineages. We have Imams, few of them named Ali, few of Muhammad, so on. So it is a possibility that this Amran be Imran, and then Amran refers to descendant of this Amran, which includes Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. And in the later generation, Hazrat Maryam is a descendant of Imran, which is a descendant of this other Imran, Amram. Because we know they are from the lineage of Aaron, and Aaron is the son of Imran. So it's a possibility, for example, you have a Sayyid or Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, and then you have an important, respectful descendant of that Imam Hussein or Imam Hassan later on, and then like we have a Sadat. This can be the case actually, but when I was arguing that, I wasn't very details. Then I know it still is. I was thinking maybe this answer, but not the correct reasons in front of me. Now I'm saying it is a possibility. This Ali Imran covers both, but in the first, which we will argue maybe later on, that to argue that this can be covered both. But for now, if you go with for covering that, for appearance of Quran, this is only covers the children of Hazrat Maryam or and this person. But I'm saying it's possible to argue for that. But you have to go something extra, even the apparent biblical one, which we had some discussion who this family Imran is, and they are descendant of Aaron and so on. So I'm saying this is a little bit complicated, but it could be. This question. So what exactly this Imran? We know about Ibrahim, Nuh, and but who's exactly on Imran is? Okay, a little bit. I took more time than I should, but okay. Today, because there was a discussion, we said about doing John the Baptist in the Bible. We go back to New Testament. The two
Dr.
books.
Ghoddoussi, Dr. Divaji put a question in the chat.
Sure. Okay.
Want to maybe answer it?
Sure. Yeah. I'm very happy. What does Ali Imran mean in Quran? Not here, but in chapter 3. I mean, I am chapter 3 effectively. We don't look. Let's go back. We are not 100% sure. But I look here. This is the one you're looking. There are 3 instances Imran came in. So 2 of them associated with Maryam bint Imran, Imran to Imran. So Imran to Imran directly related to Hazrat Maryam. Here we have this.
Divaji, if in case you want to talk, feel free, please.
Yeah.
Ghoddoussi, I was wondering because Jesus himself was also Al Ibrahim, and I was thinking maybe when it refers to Al Imran, Quran is referring to another family member who is not Al Ibrahim.
Okay, you see if the verse going back, it says some of them are descendant of each other. So you don't have any Israel. If that's the case, all of these are Israelites. Yeah, actually, this is interesting point because Quran clearly mentions these are some descendant of each other. Look, that's interesting. إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوح وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين ذرية بعضها من بعض. So it's not that Nuh and Ibrahim are separate. All Adam, all the Ali Ibrahim, Ali Imran, all are the subclass of Ali Ibrahim. I mean, it's hard to understand it differently.
Well, from Genesis point of view, they're all descendant of each other.
Yeah. But so for now, at least Ali Imran is subsection of Ali Ibrahim, the same way Ali Muhammad will be a subsection of Ali Ibrahim. So, that part I don't think for now nobody has thought that. But the question is that which section does it cover? I mean, the question it couldn't be all of them, but at least cover the Moses in it too. If this Ali Imran includes Moses, Aaron, and Maryam, or this Imran doesn't cover them and only covers from Mary onward. So what is Mary onward also is a big discussion. What we mean by Mary onward or other people in the family, which we had some discussion about that, last time we were talking about brothers and Jesus or so on. For now, I think if we go to how the Quran used it, is reverse. What we are certain, this is related to Hazrat Maryam. But if it's more than that, we are not certain, at least not from Quran. We don't have evidence from Quran because there is no Amram mentioned from Quran. You have to go to biblical one and then put Amram equal to Imran, and then from there going forward. But from Quranic view, for now, is limited to Hazrat Maryam and any descendant from her or so on. So that's the whole topic. We did some of those discussions in Farsi in those lectures. Look, what I'm saying that this could include Moses is because contrary to common general belief, Mary is the descendant of David, but also Mary is descendant of Aaron. This is not very known. And that needs to go to the genealogy in Luke. And that's James Tabor did it. Other people did it. But you know, one other thing I find recently, I forgot to put the slide. That's I regret. I put it next week. That is Syriac text. Yeah, let me expand this topic next time as a review. So let's have in mind that for now, I think Amram, it's only the father of Hazrat Maryam. And then if any descendants we can get after Hazrat Maryam and that direction. So now, yeah, that the one I actually I forgot to put it. That one was very interesting. You know, supportive the whole perspective. We come over there. Okay, so today, look, we are going to discuss something about the story of John the Baptist using Mark and using Luke. Although there are some parts in Matthew too, so I don't want to go all of them. Just sampling, and then we taste it. And then we come back to this apocrypha a little bit later, but I want to again mention that where these books were written, if we have the death or ascension of Jesus at between 30 to 33 Common Era, the first gospel written is Mark, about you're talking about 40 years after Jesus. And then the Matthew and Luke is written 90 to 100. This is the best scholarship believes. More or less, I think is okay. 70 years. And then we have for now we work with these. So I will go through this fast, I hope, because I want to go to the main topic of today. Look, in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, this is important because Romans get conquered Palestine for a while, rule it to the indirectly, choose a king from local people. But then after a while, they decide to change the structure, and then they start to directly ruling the Judea part, with Jerusalem in it, by a Roman proctorate, Pontius Pilate. And then, but there are 4 other regions, or 3-4 regions, which that descendant of Herod rule it. Herod was wasn't actually Hebrew too. That's another problem. Was a local person. So Herod, Tetrarch of Galilee, his brother Philip, Tetrarch of another place, and there were 3 people ruling these regions. So we don't need to go to details, all of this stuff. But during the high priesthood of Annas and Caiaphas, the word came to John, son of Zachariah, in the wilderness. You know, this time, this Annas and Caiaphas are important family. They're not good priests. Actually, Jesus has confrontation with them. They are behind killing the martyr, the brother of Jesus, Jacob the Just. I don't think we have time to go that, but sometime later, maybe you have to pay attention to these two, because these are the priesthood, which they start to use priesthood for worldly gains, and this is exactly the confrontation between Jesus and John the Baptist, Jesus, and then, as I said, Jacob the Just, the brother of Jesus, with this guy started. He went into all the country around the Jordan, preaching a baptism, repentance for the forgiveness of the sins. We said that we have the community of Mandean or Sabian Mandeans, which still existent in Iraq and Khuzestan, Iran, which is really the primary ritual they have is this baptism. They are follower of John the Baptist. So we know this, it seems this part is true. Really, the baptism is very important, was important part of his religion. He went all the country around the Jordan, preaching a baptism, repentance for the forgiving of sins, as it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah the prophet, a voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight paths for him. Every valley shall be filled in, every mountain hill made low. The crooked road shall become straight, and the rough way smooth, and all people with God see salvation. Now, this is the way this is because the Christian way, this is how they call it typology. They use the Old Testament to say Old Testament is predicting the Jesus or the events around Jesus. And they think these verses in Isaiah, book Isaiah, is related to John the Baptist. It is close, but I'm not sure we want to debate that. But we have the similar way too, the verses of Qur'an, which is people ta'wilut or to Imams or Imam Ali or so on. But this is the one. John said to the crowds coming out to be baptized by him, you brood of vipers who warn you to flee from of the coming wrath. So you see, his preaching is strong. Produce fruit in keeping with repentance. Do not begin to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father, which this refers some of the criticism of Quranic too. You know, Quran says because we are the descendant of Abraham, nothing happens to us. And the Quran tell them, okay, if you're sure you're going to heaven, request that. So it seems this attitude was spreading in them, you know, because we are just descendant of Abraham, nothing, we are okay. For I tell you that out of these stones, God can raise up children of Abraham. And then kind of John is making fun of them. Look, being children of Abraham per se is not good. God needs children of Abraham, can make these stones be children of Abraham, which is interesting from he's himself a Jew, himself a children of Abraham. This kind of preaching is interesting. And that we have to be aware because we are Muslim, we are Sayyid, we are so and so. Shia. The axe is already at the root of the trees, and every tree that does not produce good fruit will be cut down and thrown into fire. He's warning them. You know, I think it's good to see the preaching. What should we do then? The people start to worry. He seems he's really effective. He's charismatic. John answered, anyone who has 2 shirts should share with the one who has none, and anyone who has food should do the same. So this is also a little bit egalitarian living. We see in the message of Jesus too, that really at least these are, I don't want to, this needs another talk really. So just let's read it. Even tax collectors came to baptize teacher. They asked, what should we do? These tax collectors are really the very looked badly. They looked at collaborators because they worked with the Roman conquerors to collect money from people. These were the most hated one, you know, is like the country conquered and people start to work collaborators. Don't collect any more than you are required to, he told them. He told them, okay, do your job, but don't collect more. Don't be overzealous with the Romans. Collect as this. Then some soldiers asking, what should we do? He replied, don't extort money and don't accuse people falsely. Be content with your pay. So, you know, these are all moral advice. The people were waiting expectantly and were all wondering in their hearts if John might be possibly the Messiah. John answered them all, I baptize you with water, but who is more powerful than I will come, the straps of whose sandals I am not worthy to untie. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire. Okay, this is very Christian. We are not to dispute it there, but he says, look, I'm really baptizing you with water, but the real one, the real Messiah, which means Jesus will come baptize you with the Spirit, Holy Spirit, and fire. His winnowing fork is his hand to clear his threshing floor and to gather the wheat into his barn, but he burn up the chaff with unquenchable fire. And many other words, John exhorted people and proclaimed the good news to them. But when John rebuked Herod, this is the part which I want to discuss martyrdom of him. But when John rebuked Herod, the tetrarch, one of those rulers which were local, because of he's the one who started to build the second temple. And the second temple was big. 40 years is very, you know, luxurious. 40 years take to be built. It's a big construction like the some you see in Mecca. The Saudis are doing something like that. And that was destroyed. And now the Jews in Palestine want to raise the third one. But when John rebuked, I mean, to be fair, some part of the second temple was already there. He added to it. But when John rebuked Herod the Tetrarch because of his marriage to Herodias, his brother's wife. So look, you see, this was sensitive. So that his brother's wife and all the other evil things he had done. So Herod, contrary to the Sharia, I don't know what exactly, you know, there are some details of hadith, but here it doesn't mention that, okay. And then John started to criticize them. Herod added this to them all. He locked John in prison because he started to criticize. Herod arrested John and put it in prison. King Herod about, okay, now I'm going from Luke to Mark to tell the same story a little bit differently just to see the taste of it. King Herod about this, for Jesus' name had become well known, some saying John the Baptist has been raised from the dead, and that is why miraculous powers are at work at him. Others said Elijah. Let me go this one faster. Okay, I skip. Let's go this part. For Herod himself have given orders to have John arrested, and he had him bound and put in prison. So This is the story of martyrdom. There are one other version in the Bible. I just choose this one. He did this because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, whom he had married. For John had been saying to Herod, "It is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife." Uh, so Herodias nursed a grudge against John and wanted to kill him, but she was not able to. Herod was worried to kill John because you see people like him, following him. He was a pious man. So he wanted just to get him out of the street. It doesn't make people stimulating people. But this lady wants to kill him. Because Herod feared John and protected him, knowing him to be a righteous and holy man. When Herod heard John, he was greatly puzzled, yet he liked to listen to him. Finally, the opportune time came. On his birthday, Herod gave a banquet for his high officials and military commanders and the leading men Galilee. When the daughter of Herodias came in and danced, so now he married his brother's wife, Herodias. Now the daughter of this lady, maybe from his even brother, came and danced. She pleased Herod and his dinner guests. The king said to the girl, "Ask me for anything you want, and I will give it to you." And he promised her with an oath, "Whatever you ask, I will give it to you, up to half my kingdom." It was drunk or so on. She went out and said to her mother, "What shall I ask for?" "The head of John the Baptist," she answered. At once the girl hurried back into the king with the request, I want you to give me right now the head of John the Baptist on a platter." The king was greatly distressed, but because of his oath and his dinner guests, he did not want to refuse her. So he immediately sent an executioner with orders to bring John's head. The man went, beheaded John in the prison, and brought back his head on the platter. He presented it to the girl, and she gave it to her mother. On hearing of this, John's disciples came and took his body and laid it in a tomb. This is important. This is a story just because Dr. Musala said some people are asking it. But this is similarity of having the head of the John the Baptist on a platter, similarity to Imam Hussein, which is from a corrupt king. Here is Herod, there was Yazid. So this similarities with the parallelism with the Hazrat Yahya, John the Baptist has been done in Shia traditions. I mean, I'm not going to discuss that. We partially discussed, but just I read it to complete the story of John the Baptist. Initially I skipped it, but then I think, okay, let's make it complete. Let's have this one also said. If there's any parallelism, I don't see anything to dispute the overall outline of the story, but that's the story's martyrdom. But okay, we come to the main topic of today, and I want to go back to one more time. Let's see the verses. Uh, this is the crucial part for the later part too. We discussed a lot about this Imran, but this part is important. إذ قالت امرأة عمران رب إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا فتقبل مني إنك أنت السميع العليم. It says that when the wife of Imran said, "My Lord, I dedicate to you in consecration what with my belly. Accept it from me. Indeed, you are all hearing, all knowing." And فلما وضعتها قالت, let me just read the English, but when she bore her, she said, "My Lord, I have borne a female child." So Allah knew better what she had born, and the male child she expected was no match for the female, and I have named her Mary. I commend her an offspring. So you see, look, offspring of her. One of the questions we have to see is Ali Imran is right. Did she have other offspring besides Jesus? That will be crucial for Ali Imran. Overall, for the understanding of Ali Imran. And her offspring to your care against the evil of the outcast Satan. Thereupon her Lord accepted her with a gracious acceptance and made her grow up in a worthy fashion. So we have read those verses. Now I want to say this story is not in the Bible, New Testament. So it's not in the scripture, any of those books of New Testament, or the part of this vow of the mother of Mary, and then that she thought it will be a son and then become a lady, a female, and then her dedication and so on. Look, this part we have to mention that besides these books of the Bible, there are books which we can call them, they're called apocrypha. And then both New Testament has apocrypha and Old Testament has apocrypha. The New Testament apocrypha are a number of writings by early Christians that give accounts of Jesus and his teaching, the nature of God, the teaching of apostles in their lives. Some of these writings were cited as scripture by earlier Christians, so they trust them as sacred books because the whole canon of the New Testament was not established to about 320, 30, so 300 years was not established. So for people, these books were not different from the ones and then make to the list of New Testament. But since the 5th century, a widespread consensus has emerged limiting the New Testament to 27 books of the modern canon. Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, Protestant churches generally do not view the New Testament apocrypha as a part of the Bible. So that's the meaning of it. Biblical or related writings not form part of the accepted canon of the scripture. It's called apocrypha. Writing, sometimes it has a negative meaning nowadays, but it wasn't like that. Writing or reports not considered genuine. You know, the early years, that wasn't the issue, just didn't make to the list. But gradually, because it's out of list, many of them become suspicious. But there are detailed stories, which some are accepted, some are suspicious. So the wording they use, what this apocrypha literally means, is from apocrypha was from Greek apokryphon, to hide away in biblical literature, works outside an accepted canon of scripture. The story of the term usage indicates that it referred to a body of esoteric writings that were at first prized, later tolerated, finally excluded. So kind of the trend was that for many of them were first appreciated, then accepted, tolerated, and then excluded. Mostly now give you the sense of mashkuk or kazib or jali. But it wasn't all the case like that. I have to accept the one we want to see. Okay, the one we want to see today is Gospel of James. Let me see. I have the timetable here. No, I have to go back. So I tell you, and then I will take you to timetable. So what we want to see, and is important because it's the only other place that this story related the father and mother of Mary is narrated. As I said, when Qur'an, that's my kind of belief, a hypothesis. When the Quran referring to the story, we always have a version, see somewhere the correct version. It says left, you know, if it's different from the biblical one or other sources, there is somewhere usually that this correct version is there. I mean, it's left, and for now, this is whole modern research is somehow helping to discover that or finding that. Is not always exactly the same, but again, you see the traces are there. So it's not completely without any trace. This ProtoGospel of James will do this thing for many of the issues we have in Surah Al-Maryam. One of them, which today we discuss, is the birth of Mary. Proto-Evangelium of James is apocryphal work, also known as the Book of James, but not confused with the Epistle of James, which is already placed in the New Testament. This James is referring to the brother of Jesus, James the Just, or equal name is Jacob. Yeah, but so it's ascribed to him. You know, if you go, that's written by him or by his group. The Gospel of James, or the infancy Gospel of James, also it says Proto-Evangelium means before the Gospel, means the events before what is described in the Gospels. Gospels describe the events of the life of Jesus or saying its mission. A little bit early childhood. Then we have Book of Acts explaining what happened after Jesus, but Proto-Evangelium explains what happened before Jesus. But its actual title was, its subtitle, The Birth of Mary, the Holy Mother of God and Very Glorious Mother of Jesus Christ. Actually, this is maybe subtitled in the manuscript which was left, or they have. As I said, the Proto-Evangelium means proto-gospel or precursor to the gospel, which in this case means Mary's story. As I said, Proto-Evangelium of James claims to have been written by James, the leader of the church in Jerusalem and the author of New Testament Epistle of James. This will be important. Later on, we will discuss the family of Imran. that one claim is this James, the brother or half brother of Jesus, is an important part of that Ali Imran. Very important part. Traditionally, James is designated as the half brother of Jesus, but according to this work, he would have to be a step brother of Jesus. Okay, there are disputes that, again, I leave it for next time to see it. Whether it was a half brother of Mary or a step brother of Jesus, half brother of Jesus or step brother of Jesus. A step brother means, you see, this family marriage is happening that, two wife and a husband have children from other marriages, but then marrying together. So then essentially the children are not their biological children, they're not half, but they're step brothers. So this, and then for example, Jesus, because doesn't have father, so only Mary is the parent, but then this issue we have to discuss. So let me put it another lecture. Proto-Evangelium, James claims to give additional details about Mary's birth and childhood, as well about the birth of Jesus, which also this part will be important for us too. Look, to go back to the, to giving timing for you guys. So again, if Jesus' ascension was 30 Common Era, they believe the Proto-Evangelium is written later. But look, this could be put in writing or could be edited versions, because I think you see editions, some working on it. I believe the fact is associated to family of James, to James family of Jesus. It means actually this is kind of information is there in that family. Like some stories about Khadija or Hazrat Fatima. This is inside the family, not other common Sahaba doesn't know. They even relate earlier events, like Abu Talib or Jabir Abi Talib stuff. Mostly is not known by Bani Hashim, not outsider. So this may have a very correct truth core in it, but maybe layer of additions come to it. But the other thing is that this book was popular and it wasn't looked suspicious. It was positive, just didn't make it to the sacred, for example, or canon of New Testament. And it was also popular not only the earlier centuries before Islam, is also for a while inside, for example, medieval times. And then we will see much of the influence popular culture, paintings, and so on. Okay. So I kind of give you enough the information for that. So I'm seeing how much time we have. Just 1 second. What times? Okay. Yeah, I try to be faster this part, and if left, I put it the next time. I try to finish by 8:30. Look, this part is interesting because gives the background of father and mother of Mary, and also why she has to do that vow. And I think part of it also, that's issue of not having children and the stigma of not having children. And then when I was discussing verse 5 of the Surah of Maryam, and I said, when Zachariah was not having a children, maybe more than fearing her relatives, he was feeling that looked down, put down, looked khaffafa, not respected because of not having children. As I said, that was alternative qira'ah, but here you see the same dynamic much more manifested. I read some of it. I don't think I want to go more than to number 7. Even I will skip few of it. And then there's sections in it. So in the records of 12 tribes of Israel was Joachim. So this is Imran, at least the father of Mary. But here it's called Joachim, that we have to work it out again a little bit more the naming. A man rich exceedingly, so he was wealthy. And he brought his offerings double. So he brought, he have to pay, his khums or zakat. He paid not only what he have to pay, he usually double it, saying, there shall be of my superabundance to all the people, and there shall be the offering for my forgiveness to the Lord for appropriation for me. He was rich and pious man. For the great day of the Lord was at hand, and the sons of Israel were bringing their offerings. And there stood over against him Reuben, saying, it is not meet for you first to bring your offerings, because you have not made sin in Israel. Look what they did. He was bringing offering. He was bringing it more but the people start to rebuke him. And I mean, this is jealousy, or sometimes the sharp-tongued people have. And there stood over against him Reuben, which doesn't, I don't know who is right now, saying, it is not meet for you first to bring your offerings. مثلا قربانی که تو میدی, what you bring is not accepted, or you don't need to rush to bring it, because you have not made any children for Israel. You have not produced offspring. I mean, I'm not sure how much is related to that, but the way they rebuke him is stick to him hard. And Joachim was exceedingly grieved, which I said, this matched more why Zachariah was, and his wife also didn't feel good. And then the point is that the idea here is that the mother of Hazrat Maryam and the wife of Hazrat Zachariah are sister. So something is, means Joachim is and Zachariah are Bajanak, Farsi way of saying it. So, and Joachim was exceedingly grieved and went away to the registers of the 12 tribes of this people. So they have many places listing the names, saying, I shall see the register of the 12 tribes of Israel as to whether I alone have not made seed in Israel. Okay, this part maybe a little bit story embellishment. And he searched and found that all the righteous had raised up seed in Israel. So he kind of dramatized that all good other people have children and he doesn't have. And he called to mind the patriarch Abraham, that in the last day God gave him his son Isaac. And Joachim was exceedingly grieved and did not come into the presence of his wife. This part couldn't be completely correct, because Zachariah has the same problem too. And this book mentions, this same ProtoGospel of James mentions Zachariah. It also means this is somehow embellishment. And we saw the same feature in hadiths. And then hadiths which are regarding prophets or common hadiths, we saw it before. For example, when Joseph fall into the well, the brothers dropped Joseph in the deep in the well was dark, and then angel came and then make it light. So this embellishment of stories is there, but the fact is that okay, he could not have offspring. That must be the problem. But whether any righteous has it or not, these are all embellishments. So we have to see this level of additions which maybe have gone through these works. And Joachim was exceedingly grieved and did not come into the presence of his wife, but he retired to desert. So he got so upset, he left to desert. And there pitched his tent and fasted 40 days. So this is an important solution when we want something from God. You fast. He did 40 days and 40 nights, praying to God, saying in himself, I will not go down either for food or for drink until the Lord my God shall look upon me and pray, and shall be my food and drink. Apparently, it's 4 days without food or drink. It's not easy, but okay, he went fast. Now, the other side of the story too. And his wife Anna mourned. Anna is the mother of Mary. This is accepted. Is not, her name is not mentioned in Quran, and just she's referred to as wife of Imran. And his wife Anna mourned in 2 mournings and lamented in 2 lamentations, saying, I shall bewail my widowhood, I shall bewail my childlessness. So she felt their husband is not coming back, or at least the husband temporarily or maybe longer had left her, and now she doesn't have a husband, and now she doesn't have a child too. First, she didn't have a child, and then husband left to go to wilderness. And the great day of the Lord was at hand, and Judith, her maidservant, said, how long do you humiliate your soul? Behold, the great day of the Lord is at hand. It is unlawful for you to mourn. The servants say, okay, don't be so sad. One of those Eid festivals of Jews were there. But take this headband which the woman that made it, give it to me, for it is not proper that I should wear it, because I am a maidservant, and it has a royal appearance. So I think the servant started to give something to her maid, mother of Mary, because they were rich, to wear this one. I shouldn't wear it. You should wear it. And Anna said, depart from me, for I have not done such things, and the Lord has brought me very low. I fear that some wicked person has given it to you, and you have come to make me a share in your sin. So I'm not sure this part exactly what it is. Maybe I should skip it. And Judith said, why should I curse you? Okay, something this lady says to this servant, which again, we are not sure how correct it is, and I don't know, sorry, exactly what's the context. But the answer the servant give is very, I can say, rude. Usually you don't answer back like that. And she got upset. And Judith said, "What should I curse you, saying that the Lord has shut your womb, so as not to give fruit in Israel?" The servant said, "Why I need to curse you? You are already cursed by God, because now you cannot have offspring." So that was very bad exchange. And Anna was grieved exceedingly, and put off her garments of mourning, and cleaned her head, and put on her wedding garments, and about the ninth hour went down to the garden to walk. And she saw a laurel, and sat under it, and prayed to the Lord, saying, "O God of our fathers, bless me and hear my prayer, as you blessed the womb of Sarah and gave her son Isaac." Look, she prayed to, I mean, the details we are not sure how correct. The outline is correct. We have these all issues, even look, regarding the narrations in Karbala, which is the most historical one. We have some embellishments, which Book of Rosat al-Shahadat definitely has. It's different from what Abi Makhnaf has. Here, I think the fact is that these two do not have children. They're rich, but they're very kind of khaffafa by other people because they didn't produce an offspring. Maybe it was a big deal, or just people do not tolerate these guys are rich and pious. Both grieved, both start to pray. One went to fast for 40 days. The other one start to pray and start to talk to God about the other examples of Sarah and Isaac, which God do miracles and give them children. I'm not going to read. These are part of the prayer. They did all the history of Old Testament. The Sarah's mentioning other examples to God. But then, and behold, an angel of the Lord stood by, saying, after she did finishes the praying, the angel came. We know the story of the angel for the Zachariah, which came when Zachariah was later on praying when saw Maryam, the holiest holy. But here it seems we have to accept it or not. Just we say it is said like this: Anna, the Lord has heard your prayer, and you shall conceive and shall bring forth, and your seed shall be spoken of all in the world. This is a great promise, because we have to accept Hazrat Maryam is spoken all around the world about. But Anna was thinking this would be male. Here, although a little bit as Quranic understanding, we see she didn't think this kind of offspring will be a female. Anna said, "As the Lord my God lives, if I beget either male or female, I will bring it as a gift to the Lord my God, and he shall minister to him in the holy things all the days of his life." Now, I think this has have been edited. I really don't believe she said male or female, at least if I read Quran, because Quran clearly indicate her surprise. If she thought she did a vow to God, God accepted, she got pregnant, she was certain that child is a boy. Why? Because she was dedicating it to the temple. It wasn't common to dedicate females to the temple, because female could not easily work and function to the temple. One reason was other issues of male and female, or hijab or something like that, was the monthly habit of females, because I'm sorry, yeah, because of that period they cannot go to the temple. Even we have it now, they cannot go to the mosque. So they can, because she wants, like a khadim, she wants to dedicate this child totally to the temple. And because they are of lineage of Aaron, they can do that. That issue of lineage of maybe that Amram is now has a point. They are from the lineage of Aaron. We saw it from Elizabeth, which is her sister, and then Zachariah also, and then if we discuss Mary, we see that Joachim has both double lineage of David and Aaron. Because of that, they can take the priestly duties. So that's Quran. You see, Quran is more accurate in a sense. I'm not just saying. Or she's surprised. She's certain, because now the vow is accepted. Miraculously, it will be a son, because he can dedicate him. She can dedicate him fully to the temple. But here I feel is because later Christian variation on it, because they look at differently. I bring it as a gift to the Lord my God, and shall minister to him holy things all days of its life, all its life. And behold, two angels came, saying to her, behold, Joachim, your husband, is coming with his flocks. Somebody told Joachim too. Joachim brings his flocks back home. For an angel of the Lord went down to him, saying, Joachim, Joachim, or the Lord God had heard your prayer. Go down hence, for behold, your wife Anna shall conceive. Now, the other thing they have edited in some versions, they do, let me read this at that point. Maybe I say it later on. That's a little bit complex. And Joachim went down and called his shepherds, saying, bring me hither 10 she-lambs without spot or blemish, and they shall be for the Lord my God, and bring me 12 tender calves. They shall be for the priests and the elders, and 100 goats. So he started to do lavishly sacrifices, thanking God for what he's given to it. And so they conceive. Joachim rested the first day in his house. Let me go faster. Sorry. Okay. And he went down from the temple of the Lord, justified, departed his own house. After months were fulfilled, and in the 9th month, Anna brought forth. So she conceived. The point is that some Christians later on, because the whole human relationship, sexual relationship, they look at negatively, and they want to bring holiness to the whole family. They even start to say the conceivement of Mary was miraculous too, and the father and mother were not together, those kind of stuff, which are, even Protestants do not accept it. So sometimes you see the wording have become ambiguous. That's another debate. Let's put it aside. And her months were fulfilled, and in 9 months Anna brought forth. So after 9 months she gave birth, and she said to the midwife, what I have brought forth? She said, a girl. And Anna said, Anna, my soul has been magnified this day, and she laid her down. So the difference here is that Qur'an clearly expressed her astonishment or surprise, that says, okay, she's a girl. A girl is not like a boy, but the kind of Quran clearly says, okay, God knows, telling her God knows her plan. And here, this additions is not contrary to the spirit, because she really have to be thinking how I can dedicate a girl to the temple. And the days having been fulfilled, Anna was purified and gave the birth to the child and called her name Mary, and the child grew strong day by day. When she was 6 months old, her mother sent her on to the ground to try whether she could stand and walk 7 steps. Anyway, these parts we can go faster. The point is this. Maybe okay. This part. Try whether she could stand, and she walked 7 steps and came into her. So she walks as our parents looking at these ages where the children move and walk, and then usually girls do it earlier, sooner than the boys. So after 6 months, her mother set her on the ground to try whether she could stand, and she walked 7 steps and came in her to bosom. And she snatched her up and saying, as the Lord my God lives, you shall not walk on this earth until I bring you to the temple of the Lord. So, and she made a sanctuary in her bedchamber and allowed nothing common or unclean to pass through her. And she called the undefiled daughters of the Hebrews, and they led her astray. And she was a year old. Joachim made a great feast, invited the priests and scribes and the elders, all people of Israel. They invite them, give the names. So let's go faster. Okay, now the point is this child was growing. The details of growing stuff, we don't need to go details, are not helpful. But the point is that at 2 years old, the father says, okay, let's take her up to the temple. Let's take her up to the temple, because we promised we are going to give it to the temple. And then if we delay, God maybe tell us, okay, you guys delayed, and then your offer is not accepted because you vowed, and then you should send it, but you hesitating, dragging your foot, and we're not accepted. The mother said, Anna said, let us wait for the 3rd year in order that the child may not seek for father and mother. I mean, mother wants to keep the child, but her argument wasn't unreasonable because the 2-year child is so much dependent on the parents, but the 3-year-old child is less dependent on the parent. So father accepts. Joachim says, okay, so let us wait. And the child was 3 years old, and Joachim said, invite the daughters of the Hebrews that are undefiled. Undefiled means they're the virgin, they're the girls which are not married, they're young. And let them take each a lamp and let them stand with the lamps burning, that the child may not turn back and her heart be captivated from the temple of the Lord. They make a trick. They bring some young girls, which usually these 3-year-old girls get out or mesmerized by these older girls, 8, 7, 9, 10. And then all of them give a lamp, a very scenery, and then Mary in the middle, and they start walk toward the temple. So the child is not really following what's going on. It's very captivating scene. And they did so until they went up into the temple of the Lord, and the priest received her and kisses her and blessed her, saying, the Lord has magnified your name in all generations. In you and all the last of the days, the Lord will manifest his redemption to the sons of Israel. So these are, okay, very positive words. And then when she went to the temple, she went to set on the 3rd step of the altar of the Lord, altar, and then Lord God sent grace upon her, and she danced with her feet, and all the house of Israel loved her. And then they notice she's kind of mind is relaxed. She's relaxed. She's not noticing them, and the parents left. And then the idea was that the child didn't turn back. And Mary was in the temple of the Lord as she were a dove and a daughter, and she received food from the hand of an angel. Okay, this is the. I think I will stop here because this is the next part and it's important. But let me say something, because this part related to the verse of Quran, verse 38, so look, she's in the temple, she's receiving food, and food coming from the angels, and the point is this. Okay, let's go back. She was sent to the temple for 3 years old, and then she stayed in the temple when she's about 13, which she become a woman, and monthly habit of woman period starts. So at that moment, they have to do something for her. She cannot stay in the temple anymore. Till that time, as we know, and then maybe Islamic stories more, the Zachariah is the one, which is, look, this is this returning all the story detailedly here. The Quran will summarize it to just one sentence. فَتَقَبَّلَهَا رَبَّهَا بِقَبُولٍ حَسَنٍ. So accept what she vowed. And بَتَهَا نَبَاتًا حَسَنًا وَكَفَّلَهَا زَكَرِيَّا. So she grew, thereupon her Lord accepted her with a gracious acceptance, made her grow up in worthy fashion, and he charged Zachariah with taking care of her. So the deal is this, we can understand. Zachariah was a high priest, and the Bible also mentioned it, we saw it last time. He was on duty, he can go to holiest of the holies. So it was a high-ranking priest over there. Because of the vow of the mother and the connection of Zachariah, and they know the family and the rich wealth of the father, they made a special arrangement. So the special arrangement is a special room is built for Mary. She is living in that room. It's locked all the time. She's praying most of the time, but do some activities. There are some details I skipped over there. There are some activities. They're designing, for example, the clothings for the decorations of the temple, stuff like that. For example, for the Kaaba, decorations, you need to do some using gold threads or other stuff, something like that. Doing prayer, doing over there, spending over there. But this is happening between 3 to 13 years old. because then at that time her monthly habit starts, they should have take her out. So this kafalaha, the first takaful is with Zachariah, and then we will see كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا. You know, this part, it seems, is miraculous. And there are many discussion hadiths with is the food is spiritual or food material. No, I think clearly food is material too, spiritual. Okay, there are many spiritual things. But and قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا, you know, from where you get it, which we see over there also says angels bringing food. I mean, the people have discussed whether it's fruit or food, meat or stuff. We don't care. There is some risk over there. Risk, yeah, definitely there is a spiritual risk, but also material risk. قال يا مريم أنى لك, where are you getting from? هذا لك هذا. قالت هو من عند الله. You know, the angel of God brings it. إن الله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. When Zachariah saw this kind of miracles, then this is the time. Okay, Zachariah says, okay, maybe I can go now pray for myself. هنا لك زكريا ربه قال ربه هب لي من لدنك ذرية طيبة إنك سميع الدعاء. So, I mean, Quran, see, this style of Quran is three sentences of the whole story. But at this, I think it matched, and we stop here, that angel part, which you bring in the fruit. So kind of we see the outline, the story matches to this. There are some details we don't need to be concerned about the whole situation. And I think this the outline matches, and the spirit of the story also is the issue of not having child, is stigma in the Israelites. And I feel, again, if we accept this parallelism, maybe reflect better on that first verse, of which first 5, whether Zachariah watch was worried. And we start from this 12 years old, which is the more complicated one, and maybe clue to the family of Imran and many other things coming after this. So I will stop here. Thank you for your attention. Okay, let me do it with this verse, because I think أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قالت الملائكة يا مريم إن الله اصطفاك وطهرك واصطفاك على نساء العالمين يا مريم اقنتي لربك واسجدي واركعي مع الراكعين. Please recite the salawat, and thank you for your patience. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.